Welcome back, everyone. Today I am going to be doing a budget artisan soap. So my purpose in doing this video today is just to show you that you don't need to have any fancy colors or fancy anything really to create a very beautiful design. And I am making a wood grain design, which is considered more of an advanced technique. And I'm using activated charcoal and alkanet root. So activated charcoal is obviously black, and then the alkanet root is kind of like a purplish brown in soap. The fragrance that I'm using today is called Berries and Cream. It's a very low budget fragrance from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I want to say that 2-ounce bottle was like, I don't know, $4 or something like that. And this particular fragrance does discolor to kind of a light brown. It is workable to where you can add color to it. It doesn't completely black it out with a really dark brown color. But I did want to use this feature to create dimension in this wood grain technique that I am going to be using. I also wanted to apologize in advance. When I went to go cut this recipe, I messed up the camera and only took a picture and didn't do a video of it. So I did not get the footage for that, so I apologize for that, but there are other wood grain cutting videos on my channel that I will link in the description or in the card, however it ends up being, and we'll go from there. It's easy enough. It's just, I call it like a horizontal cut. But anyway, so just like usual, I have my budget recipe here. I will also link the budget recipe in the video cards. And I melted my hard oils and then added my liquid oils to the rest of the solution and tried to get the temperature down to 90-ish or whatever. But again, this budget recipe doesn't move very fast. So, I mean, I was okay with it being a little on the warmer side. I think in this case, about 100 or so, which was fine. And it does take a while for it to go to trace. And for wood grain, you want it to be at a light trace. You don't want it to be too liquidy, otherwise the colors just blend together, but you also don't want it to run too fast. So the Berries and Cream fragrance, so here's what I'm doing. Since it discolors a little bit of a brownish color, I did want to weigh out some of the batter to not fragrance at all. So this is going to stay unfragranced so that the natural soap color can come through. And it ends up being kind of a white, on the whiter side. So for the rest of this, I do add the fragrance. For the activated charcoal, it doesn't matter so much because it's going to be black anyway. But the alkanet root, it's going to be more of a brownish purple. And then later on, you can see that I do add a little bit of alkanet root to the uncolored portion. So really, I am working with about 5 different colors in this wood grain. And that's how intricate you can get with just a simple color palette like this, and then using the characteristics of a fragrance discoloration to your advantage. So anyway, I'm mixing the activated charcoal in that one. The alkanet root is going to go in this other one. And then I leave the other portion uncolored, but it does have the fragrance in it. So if you can tell, I've got, the alkanet root one, and then I've got the activated charcoal, and then an uncolored fragranced and an uncolored non-fragranced. I hope that doesn't confuse you, but that's kind of how this is working. I have my pouring pitcher here, and it's going to be a little difficult to tell at first because of the very similar compositions of the colors. But I'm basically just pouring this in my pouring pitcher the way I would any other wood grain technique, just keeping an eye on, the colors and everything. And you can see here, I took a portion of the uncolored portion and mixed some of that leftover alkanet root in it to make it more of a vibrant purple in addition to the brownish purple. So I'm going to use that to alternate with everything too. But you can tell that the colored or the fragranced portion that is uncolored does have a slight yellow tinge to it. So that really helped when I was trying to figure out what color I last poured, and it made this really interesting design. And so normally with wood grain, I do like to create like a mica veining in there, but for this one I did not, just because I wanted to show you that you can make this really cool looking soap without any fancy colors. And honestly, with the alkanet root, you don't even have to buy alkanet root to do that. You can just use, if you have like paprika, or if you have turmeric at home, like curry powder, you can do that. I just have alkanet root and I really love the way it looks in soap. So to do the technique, I just do my usual wood grain by tilting the mold to the side like that, and then going back and forth with really thin lines and creating little knots in the wood, quote unquote, so to speak. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that here. And the way that you do the pouring picture, you can tell that this is how the colors end up pouring out in this nice, like, striped way, and then you make those knots. So just to reiterate, I did my mixtures this way. I had one small section that I uncolored and unfragranced, and I had one section that was unfragranced and colored with alkanet root. The rest of the batter was fragranced, but it was mixed with activated charcoal, alkanet root, and then just uncolored with the fragrance in there. So there's going to be a lot of dimension in this because there's 5 colors going on in here. And one of the first things that you'll notice with some of these discoloring fragrances is that it doesn't turn brown right away. Sometimes it will discolor it to a yellow color. And when you see that, don't be alarmed by it, because it will eventually either, if it's not a discoloring fragrance, it will just go back to white. If it is a discoloring, it'll just fully go brown. Sometimes if all I'm doing is using a discoloring fragrance, I do like to punch it up with a little bit of a brown color or black just to make it more uniform, because there have been cases where the fragrance has been patchy. So anyway, as I finish this up, you can see I will explain the cutting method here a little bit better, just because I use it quite a bit in some of my soaping, especially the Artisan designs. If you look at the top down on the mold, the cutting technique is a what you see is what you get style. So as you're pouring it into the mold, if what you're seeing on the top of the mold is like a specific design, when you cut it this way, it's gonna look that way. So if you're looking top down here at my wood grain design, the way I'm going to cut it, you're going to see these, knots and stripes in it, just as you see it from the top down in this capture here. And in order to do that, you just take your log and however wide you want the soap to be, and in my case, it's 2.5 inches wide, I will trim off the ends and then cut 2.5 inches across. And then I take my block and then I look at the top and then I turn it to the side and cut 1 inch. So you're getting a 2.5 inch across bar, 1 inch wide, and then 3 or 3.5 inches tall, depending on your mold width. So this particular width is like 3.5 inches or something like that. I have this little small dragon mold that I love, and I'm thinking about, so I poured my extra in there, and I'm thinking about doing a giveaway for some of these. So let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think about a giveaway. So anyway, here's the final bar. You can see that that alkanet root is kind of like a purplish brown in there. And as this soap cures, it will get a little bit darker, but there are those light spots that don't have the color in them. And then, the activated charcoal, which is actually very easy to get. You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it, there's lots of places you can get it. And like I said earlier, you don't necessarily have to use alkanet root. It just depends on the color you're going for. Some of these natural colorants don't work well in soap, so it's good to make note of that. Alkanet root is one of them that does well. And then there's paprika and turmeric, and I think there's spirulina, and there are different clays that come in different colors as well. So just keep your options open, but you can definitely do a very nice swirl on a budget, as long as you use like the budget recipe that I also have linked in the description. So anyway, that's everything. If you have made it this far, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe and a comment. I love hearing from you guys. I have a newsletter, in case you didn't know, which of course a lot of you that have been around do know, at reholdingauthor.com. I do a lot of writing stuff, short stories, but I also post occasional soap recipes. And in this particular case, I will also post this budget wood grain technique in written form on the Substack. So head over there and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.